Hello. Welcome to today. Um, yeah, I feel nervous. I think because we don't record videos as often, and so it's just, mm, mm, I don't know. I just feel nervous. Also, the thing I want to talk about today makes me feel very, very nervous. But we're going to do our best and talk about it anyways, because it feels like it's something that needs to get talked about. Um, Also, my two little dogs are down here. I'm waiting for them to settle. Hopefully, they will. So, in the update video we did a while ago, I think it's been a couple of months, a few months, I don't know how long. We talked about the fact that we've been sober from cannabis for over a year now. I guess what we want to talk about is we want to talk about addiction. We want to talk about the process of sobriety. We want to talk about things we still struggle with now with addiction. Pike, what do you need? I'm making a video. Come here. Sometimes before we make a video, we'll write out what we want to talk about and what we're going to go through and think about. But we did not do that today. We just... Something we've learned about addiction is that the more secret you keep it, the more able it is to thrive. And so the more you talk about it with people who hopefully are safe to talk about it with, the harder it is for addiction to have control or to be leading everything in life. We've also learned with being a DID system that it can be really hard to get everybody on the same page. So even though for most of us we're on this page of wanting to be sober and finding that to be a much better way to live life, there are still people in our system who don't want to be sober and miss getting high or using drugs or drinking alcohol. It's not just it's not as simple as we all decided one thing and we all follow that one thing. It's there's a constant argument kind of all the time about the choices that we make and the way we live our life and the things we value about life. So I guess I'm just going to start with the hardest part to talk about, because maybe if we get that out of the way, it'll be a little easier. For us, while our main addiction was to cannabis, we've also been, I guess, kind of opportunistic about things that we've used. So we have used lots of different substances to get high or to get drunk. And it's hard to talk about that because there's I feel like in queer culture, there's this acceptance of using cannabis, and it's used a lot by a lot of people and not often seen as something that's a problem. It's not often treated that way. And that was really hard for us to grapple with, coming to terms with, even though in our culture it isn't talked about as being a problem. For us, it was a problem, a big problem. And even though there was like some medicinal purpose to it, it also was a way to escape life and survive life during times that were really hard to get through. I'm still working, like going in a circle around the thing that's the hardest to talk about because it's so hard to talk about. So we have ADHD. We've been diagnosed with that for many years. And it took a long time to figure out medicine that worked to help our ADHD symptoms. And the medicine we use was like the first time we've ever had something that actually helped with our depression as well. And it just kind of made everything feel better and work better and made us be able to function at a level we'd never functioned at before, like with our focus and with our like being able to like think in a straight line sometimes. So it was like a really big game changer. And the medication is methylphenidate, which is also known as Ritalin. And it has been like a huge help in making our life work. And when we go without it, Pike, stop. Come here. Come on. Maybe this will help if I hold her. When we go without methylphenidate for a while, we fall back into depression and not being able to focus or function very well, and things get really, really bad. Like this happened last summer. Our prescriber was away for a while and we weren't able to get the medication. And we nearly quit school and dropped out of this program that we've been working on for years to get our master's. And then like our prescriber came back and was able to prescribe it again. And within like a couple days, we were back to feeling functional and able to do things and being like, no, we still want to do school. We still want to be a therapist. Like we still want to do these things. So it makes a huge difference. It's a medication that we've like it's one of the most helpful medications we've ever taken. However, on the flip side of that, it is a medication that is easy to abuse or misuse. And we have also struggled with that. We've gone like stretches of time where we've used it totally as we should, like months or a year or more or whatever. And then we've gone stretches of time where like every month, like about once a month, we will misuse it and use it in a way that gets us high. So recently, in the past like several months, this has been a bigger struggle. And we kind of felt like maybe in denial about how big a deal that could be. Like just being like, well, it's just once a month. It happens once. Then we go on about our life. It's not that big a deal. But we've had this person in our system named Shadow, who's a teenager, and they're kind of like the one who is struggling the most with this, or like wanting to do this the most. They would like to use any method of getting high, but that happens to be the one that's accessible to us. Since we don't have any cannabis products in the house anymore, we don't have any alcohol in the house, we don't have any other things that we've ever abused in the past. It's just this medication, which is essential for our functioning, and yet we also misuse it. We finally like kind of saw the reality of how this is still addictive behavior, which I know you're like, you're misusing prescriptions. Isn't that clearly isn't that clearly addictive behavior? When you're in your own system and you're living your life and you're going through it, it's hard to see it from the outside, and it's hard to see things. It's hard to admit to yourself when addiction is still a part of your life. Especially when like it doesn't happen all the time. It happens once a month. So we were trying to like use harm reduction and go for 2 months. But that didn't work, or it hasn't worked yet. We made it like 5 weeks instead. But then Shadow was really upset and felt kind of like we were trying to exile them from the system, or like we were trying to like push them to the side. And so they ended up misusing it twice one weekend. And we felt a way that we haven't felt since we were using cannabis, which is this like out of control, knew it was going to happen, but had no ability to stop it, or didn't feel like we had the ability to stop it. And then like the emotional fallout afterwards was all of this shame and guilt and feeling like we were a bad human and that we had really messed up. And also like trying to understand why Shadow would want to do that, or like what their purpose was in doing that. But the kind of like way we think about ourselves as parts is that everyone in our system has good intentions for the system and is using whatever coping skills they have or whatever living skills they have to do the best they can for what they're responsible for. And a lot of us have grown up a lot and learned a lot of really good coping skills and really like changed our life around a lot. But then there are still like children and teenagers in our system who haven't learned that much or haven't gotten the chance to grow. And Shadow is one of those people. And they are kind of like the one at this time where that addiction is centered. And so even though the rest of us who are like the most fronting, the most conscious, the most communicative, we're like determined to not use drugs, it doesn't stop that part of us, Shadow, from feeling what they feel and wanting to do what they want to do and feeling like what they want to do serves a purpose. So, and I, as Roz, I know this well because for a long time I was the person holding the cannabis addiction, and I was the one behaving like Shadow, and we would go for a week or two maybe of being sober, and then I would be like, fuck this, I'm going to go to the dispensary and I'm going to get what I want to get and I'm going to do what I want to do, and none of y'all can stop me. And it took a long time for me to grow up enough to want to do something different and to be able to make a different kind of a choice. So when I'm connected with Shadow, like, I feel a lot of compassion for them because I know what it's like to be in that place and to just want to say fuck it to the rest of the system and do what you want to do. So I guess like where I'm trying to go with all of this, I don't exactly know where I'm trying to go with all of this actually. We wanted to talk about it because we don't hear people in our community or in our like circles of the internet talk about misusing prescriptions and the struggle with needing them to function, and also this abusive aspect of that. Abusive there. The substance isn't abusive. We are abusing the substance. Anyways, we don't hear a lot of people talk about that openly and honestly. And we also don't hear a lot of people talk about what it's like as a DID system to struggle with addiction. Because even though like there are still elements that are very similar to people who aren't systems that struggle with addiction, there are some very unique things about it where we aren't always in alignment. And if someone in the system who is determined to use is able to take over, then sometimes there's nothing the rest of us can do about it other than just wait for them to either do what they want to do or decide they're not going to do it. And I know for me, like, I literally had to go through, like, growing from a teenager into someone who's in my 20s. The body is 36, but I'm 24. And it wasn't until I got to that age that I was able to be like, as much as I've enjoyed using cannabis, it's time to stop, and it's time to respect the rest of the system and their choices as well. And it was time to enjoy other aspects of life that I couldn't enjoy when I was getting high all the time. So we know that Shadow is going to have to go through their own journey of figuring out what it is that they care about in life the most, and that we can't force them to do anything different. Like, the best thing we can do is love them and support them and be curious about what they're actually wanting to accomplish through using drugs. Some things we've discovered is that our life looks a lot different than it did before, like a few years ago. Like now we're about to graduate and we're about to start our career as a therapist, and we have like a lot more responsibilities. And in Shadow's perspective, our life is boring now. It's very adult and not nearly as fun as Shadow feels like it used to be when we were not working, not in school, when we could do whatever we wanted all day. I don't think Shadow quite understands all the other crap that was going on back then, with like how sick we still were and how limited we were in our life in general. That's not what Shadow sees. And so it's just hard, y'all, it's just hard to like be working with a teenager who can just take over your body and do whatever they want to do. And this teenager wants to do bad things because they are tired of us doing good things all the time. And they want to be rebellious, and they want to feel like we're not tied down, or we're not living this like monotonous life. And the other, like me and other people in the system, we don't feel like it's a monotonous life. We don't feel tied down or stuck or bored. Like, for the rest of us, we love our life. We love the things we do. We're very excited about the work that we get to do. We are a little bit daunted about like entering a new phase of life where we will be responsible for working all the time. It's not like with school where you have like a definite ending and then school's over or you drop out. It's a new thing you start that you keep doing and you can do for decades. Like, we might have 30 years of practicing as a therapist ahead of us. We don't know. And for some of us, that's like kind of exciting. And for others of us, that is a little bit daunting of like, oh crap, that's a long time to do a thing. And for Shadow, it's like their worst nightmare. They're like, how could we put ourselves through doing that? And so they're really wanting to be like, fuck no, fuck you all. I think deep down they are scared of doing that next phase of life, and scared that the values that they hold will be overridden or forgotten, or that they will not have a purpose in the system. And I think right now they are trying to do everything they can to make themselves known and make what they want to do known. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with Shadow. The only thing that's a problem is the way they're choosing to communicate that, or the way that they are choosing to show that to us. Pinto, my dog, is drinking water. Sorry if you hear that. So, yeah, that feels like a lot of what we wanted to say. I don't feel like I have much more to say about it at this time. I'm hoping we'll be brave enough to post this, and I'm hoping you will, whoever you are watching this, that you'll get something out of it or learn something, or yeah, I don't know. I just hope it's useful. It feels really scary to talk about this on like a public platform because it's not something people talk about very much. But in our effort to be more open about our life, and this was even Shadow's idea, like they wanted to make a YouTube video this weekend. And even though they're too scared to actually like come out and talk to you themselves, they were like, Roz, if you could talk for me, that would be great. So we kind of made this arrangement. Hopefully in the future we'll get to talk about it again and share whatever process we go on with this. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below if you want. And believe yourselves, believe in yourselves, keep living, and we're going to see you soon.